Make it full, yeah. Yeah. Can you see the slide now?
No, sir.
No, sir. No, sir.
Huh?
No. Yes.
Now
Yes,
visible,
yes.
sir.
Now
Visible, sir.
visible. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks to Professor Rajkumar, and welcome to all the participants from different places of the country, if I am right. I somehow was very reluctant to give the online lecture for two reasons. Number one is I don't feel very familiar talking to computer, number one. And the second one is I was totally busy. In fact, I have to go to some other place also today in the evening. So I was somehow, I told him, please spare. But Professor Rajkumar, it's difficult to say no to some people. And Rajkumar and Amrutesh from Botany department are one. I cannot say no to them. So I have accepted. Anyway, thank you. The title I have given is Biological Diversity and Bioresources for Bio-prospection and Sustainable Development. This is a title that suits to your theme of the workshop I have selected. My email ID also is there down below. Those of you who want to be in touch with me, discuss with me later on, you can always, you are welcome to discuss. And as the first slide picture itself shows that different kinds of vegetation I have just brought in just to show that the vegetation of the entire country, I'm just going to very briefly go and discuss in the beginning and say how rich our biodiversity is there. See, although I have discussed, the title is Biological Diversity, I concentrate on the plant diversity. So how rich our floristic diversity in our country is there, that I would like to say. And the second part, also side by side, very important is how to utilize our bioresources for bioprospection and product development. Ultimately, that is what is required, converting our biological wealth into economic wealth. So that is the one. So I try to discuss some of these issues. Yes. Now, you are all teachers. I will not very much elaborate since you all know these things, biodiversity and all this. But very quickly, I will say in this picture, what you see, all kinds of living organisms. There is a plant, there is a tiger, there is a mollusca, gymnosperm, an insect, everything. So all biological types in a given region is biodiversity. That is simply the one. What is biodiversity? Is biological types in a given region. That region could be a state, a university campus, it could be a district, it could be completely national level or a global level. So at any level, you can measure our biodiversity. Or biodiversity can be measured within the same family. This is one family I have selected is Papilionaceae. Within the family, the amount of variation, the different kinds of genera, different kinds of species, you can show that is the amount of variation within a particular family. Or it should be within the same genus, the diversity within the same genus. This is Utricularia genus. And in India, the different types of the different species of Utricularia form the diversity of this genus. So it can be measured all over the globe or a state, or within the same family, or even within the same genus, or even within the same species. Same species is very important when what we call is the infraspecific diversity. This is very important since we have not been able to achieve this much in our country. In fact, what we talk all these years is diversity in terms of number. Say India has 20,000 species of flowering plants. So that is in terms of number we speak. And please remember, biodiversity or floristic diversity is not a game of numbers. It is the total diversity. Within the same species, the total amount of variation, what you find is diversity. Say, for example, this is Fleria. In Fleria indica, the amount of variation in the same family, and this is what is called infraspecific diversity, and it could be measured in terms of genetic diversity also. So therefore, if somebody asks what is the diversity of our flora in our country, we only say in terms of number. And that is only a partial assessment, because infra-specific diversity we do not know. You take any species, assess the diversity from Kanyakumari to Kashmir, enormous number of variations you find. Variation in terms of chemotype, cytotype, phenotype, genotypes or ecotypes, various variations you find, and that is all total is biodiversity. Therefore, we do not know the total diversity of our country. What we know is only a number game only that we know. And this is the summary. So what is diversity? It could be species diversity, it could be genetic diversity, or the habitats that support the diversity in our country, that is ecological diversity. And the numbers I have given in between down below, angiosperms, gymnosperms, pteridophytes and all that, showing the different number. These numbers have no sanctity. I don't say it is not a fixed number, because this number goes on changing every year with more and more botanical exploration. This number goes on changing. So therefore, there is no sanctity, but it gives a rough estimate of what is the strength of angiosperms, what is the strength of bryophyte, what is the total number, roughly it gives. So that is the one thing we should remember. There are a large number of endemic plants in our country. Endemic plants are very important, because tomorrow when any country makes use of the biodiversity or the genetic material of our country and produces a product, as per the CBD, Convention on Biological Diversity, 50% of the royalty has to come back to our country. If there is any, it could be, in terms of monetary or technology or whatever it is, 50% of the royalty has to come to our country. But if it is our plant, suppose we take the plant from some other country and then produce a product, the same thing applies. We also have to give. So therefore, if we develop a product on our own endemic plants, the entire royalty or entire profit that comes out rests in our country. So endemic plants play a major role. What is endemic? That you are all familiar with. That means they occur only in the country. If it is a narrow endemic, it occurs only in a small state or in a region like Himalaya, Western Ghats and all that. So I have just shown here in the third column how many angiosperms, what is the percentage of endemic in our country. This I have shown, just it is again, please remember 4,303 angiosperms as far as we know today, but this number may change again later, right? Now, I saw that there is no sanctity, because every year people are publishing new species. In a year, roughly 200 new species are being published in our country. And in my own name, these are all the species published from different scientists from different parts of the country. They have given names of Pogostaman Raghavendra, Pedicularis Raghavendra, Parasopubia Raghavendra. These are all on my own name. So this indicates on one person name, there are so many names described new species. Like this, there are whole countries. So therefore, this number goes on increasing at all the time. These are all the species published on my name. There are a large number of actually the monotypic and endemic plants are also there. This I will talk at the end. What is the reason for such a high diversity in our country? Because of immense variety of climatic and altitudinal variation. Now, highest altitude known for a flowering plant in the world is in India only. That's also you should remember. And India forms the Hindustani center of origin of cultivated plants. This is one center. In fact, 11% of the world's known plant species we get here. Cradle of flowering plants. Indian region is considered to be a cradle of flowering plants. What does it mean? In this region, angiosperms have not only originated but diversified. This is based on the occurrence of almost 131 primitive flowering plants in the country. So whichever the region has more primitive flowering plant, that region is considered to be the cradle of flowering plants. So therefore, India forms a cradle of flowering plants. Therefore, all these factors have added very rich diversity in our country. Nearly 50% of the global aquatic biodiversity, every alternate plant, aquatic plant, perhaps from India, occurs in India. That is 50% of the global biodiversity. Now, this biodiversity is scattered down below what I have shown in 4 or 5 regions. Number 1, Himalaya, Western Ghats, Northeast India, Andaman and Nicobar Islands. These are all the 4 regions which also form the hotspots of India. Himalaya, Western Ghats, Northeast India, and Andaman Nicobar. These are all the 4 hotspot regions also. Now, what are hotspots? There is nothing to feel very proud to say that we have hotspots. We should rather feel sorry. Hotspots are areas where there is high concentration of native or endemic flora, but at the same time, these areas are subjected to severe anthropogenic disturbances. So much so, 70% of the original forests are destroyed. I hope you understand. 70% of the original forests. So Himalaya, 70% of the original forests have gone. The Northeast India, 70%, Andaman Nicobar, 70% of the original forests have gone. And out of the remaining 30%, what is left today, it holds large number of high concentration of endemic flora. And such areas are termed as hotspots. Therefore, I say hotspots are not good sign. Actually, we feel sorry that India has 4 hotspots. And when you talk of Western Ghats, when you talk of Northeast India, it is said almost 90% of the original forests have gone. So therefore, these 2 areas are also termed as hottest hotspots. So therefore, we should feel sorry that we have rendered these 2 important regions as hottest hotspot. Although there are good concentration of high concentration of endemic species and native flora, the 90% of the original forests are already destroyed. These are all the world's mega diverse countries, and India is one country. That green patch, which is all showing, are all world major countries or mega diverse countries of the world, and India is one region, and that we should feel proud. And I told about the hotspots. The concept was first given by Myers. Myers hotspot concept, and according to him, only 2 criteria, 2 strict criteria. One is at least the area should have 1,500 species of vascular plants. As I said, simply high concentration of endemic plants should be there, and 70% of the original forest should have gone. So these are the 2 criteria making use of this. And to this criteria, I have also tried to add some of the areas like unique germplasm centers. This is not the hotspot according to Myers concept. They won't qualify according to Myers concept. But I would like to add these areas because of the uniqueness, unique germplasm centers, exceptional scientific interest, and sacred forests, particularly the sacred forests also I would like to add, and wet and moist tropical swamp forests. These are all the critically fragile ecosystems, endangered communities in our country. So I would like to add these also to the hotspots so that they are protected in toto. That's my aim. So I would like to add these things. I will talk a lot about sacred forests at the later stage. These are the 4 what I have shown in red: Himalaya, Indo-Burma, Sunda Islands, and Western Ghats are the 4 hotspots. Why there is so much high concentration? Because of these factors. Any area you can think of, any habitat you can think of in this globe, you find in India: alpine, dry deserts, cold deserts, temperate, evergreen, moist evergreen, dried evergreen. Any area, any habitat you can think of on this world, we find in India. So that is the plus point. Diverse ecological condition, highest rainfall area, coldest place on earth, altitude ranging from sea level to the highest mountain ranges of the world, and highest altitude known for a flowering plant is in India, 6,300 meters. Altitude is, again, it is in the Guinness World Record. So that occurs in India. And Himalaya acts as an active speciation. This is very important. Himalaya acts as an active speciation zone. What does it mean? This is a diagrammatic representation of Himalaya. You can see this. All the mountains, the north of Himalaya, Chinese mountains, they are 300 million years old. Whereas the western side, they are also 300 Mediterranean region. These are all the Mediterranean elements. They are also 300 million years old. Himalayas are said to be the youngest chain of mountains, having uplifted or originated from the Tati seabed some 60 to 70 million years ago. This is the one youngest chain of mountains, and I call it as an active zone of speciation. Why? Because the elements, all these elements from the Chinese mountains have migrated to this. Because this is Himalaya is the youngest chain. These are all 300 million years old. All the genera, whether it is rhododendron, whether it is primula, whether it is astragalus, any of these genera, they must have come all from Chinese mountains. When they migrate phytogeographically, the migration takes place over several thousands of years. It is not just 1 or 2 days migration, it goes on. At each generation, the plants have to pass through the unfavorable conditions, depending upon 1,500 miles if they have to travel in between unfavorable condition. And the unfavorable condition, if it is too extreme, the plants perish, or the plants can modify themselves to overcome the unfavorable conditions. And these modification could be phenotypic modification or genotypic modification. Therefore, by the time the species from Chinese mountains reach the Himalaya, they have become independent species. That's why I call Himalaya as an active zone of speciation where new species are being formed. That's why new species. Similarly, in the western part, particularly if you see, most of the Mediterranean elements you will see here, and the Chinese and the Eurasian elements you find in the eastern part of the Himalaya. That's why Himalayas are very unique system for us. Now, we are very happy. Our biodiversity is quite rich, and let us feel proud that India is the richest country. But now, after the Convention on Biological Diversity, what we call the CBD, Convention on Biological Diversity, all countries have realized that the countries having the rich biodiversity are going to rule the world. Countries having rich biodiversity are going to rule the world, and not the dollar-rich nations like America. So it is a plus point for us. So therefore, in this part of the world, India and China are the two countries having a very rich biodiversity. Therefore, we have to rule the world in the coming decades. What does it mean? Keeping a rich biodiversity doesn't mean we are going to rule, we are going to become strong. Until and unless you convert your rich biodiversity into economic wealth, that is what I am always say, converting biological wealth into economic wealth should be the main agenda for biologists today in the 21st century. We have to convert our biological wealth into economic wealth so that the India becomes strong. Indian economy becomes strong so that we can rule the entire world in the coming decades. How do we do that? Select such biological resources or bioresources, select such bioresources, and through bioprospection, scientific, of course, evaluation is required. Through bioprospection, go for a global level product development. And there we are lacking. One side, biodiversity is very rich, we are very happy. The other side, global level products, we have not been able to bring anything. So there we should feel sorry. China is bringing almost every year one global level product. Why not India? So India and China are the competitors in this part, but we are lagging behind. So in the coming decades, every one of us should concentrate only in converting our biological wealth into economic wealth. So what I do is, in different parts of the country, different colors, what I have shown is from my own book. Different colors indicate different bio-provinces or botanical provinces or phytogeographic regions, whatever you can call. And each one of these regions has its own set of flora, very dense flora. Forest types are also completely different here. I will very quickly come to very briefly each one of these and see what can be done in those regions. Now, in the extreme Trans-Himalaya, in the extreme north, what we have got, the Trans-Himalaya, the cold deserts of India, extreme harsh climate, very harsh climate. The area is covered almost 7 months in a year, 20 to 30 feet snowfall. Complete area is covered. Nothing grows there. The temperature fluctuation is so great. The diurnal temperature may be 40 degrees centigrade, and in night temperature goes sometimes minus 40 degree. So the fluctuation is so great, even the rocks get cracked. There is no rock also you can see here. That's why Laos, Ladakh, these are the regions we call the land of the rock ruins. So very harsh, even rocks cannot sustain there. So in such areas, how can you expect plants to grow? But there are certain plants I have shown here with this arrow, all clump forming or cushion forming types of plants, which are all stunted, cushion forming, and these are covered under snow for 7 months, 20 feet snow feet, 30 feet snowfall. And after the snow melts, Again, they flower, fruit, produce fruits, and then die off again. This is the thing. So that shows there are some unique species. What are those unique species? I have listed here at the left. Those of you are interested, you can see the Sarinaria, Astragalus, Acantholimania, Ephedra, some of these very interesting species. This is Eremoras. One colony is, enlarged so that thousands of flowers get aggregated together to form a hemispherical cushion. Now utilize part comes. Now the point what we need is converting our biological wealth. How can we utilize these plants? Now one should think this. Now the biotechnology is advanced so much. Now why not we identify the genes responsible for the cold tolerant genes here, which can make the plants remain in under snow for 7 to 8 months. So that is very unique thing. And can we transfer those genes to some of the common plants which can be grown along in the cold desert region, so that some are tomato, the maize, potato, some of these common crops can be grown. Now, this is a challenge now. I think this is what we do. All the years, what we have been doing is we are describing the flora. We are just describing the flora only, saying that, yes, plant is there, it has got fruit stamens, it has got inferior over. See, we don't need this kind of studies. Now, all of you should understand, all these are all known, 100 years also it is known. What we need today is how best we can utilize our bioresources. There are also large number of medicinal plants also. See, this is how the area looks, very harsh climate. This is one individual plant, this is one individual colony. So I'm going. This is the highest altitude I told, known for a flowering plant is Christolia himalayensis of Brassicaceae. This is the plant, 6,300 meter. And when you come 500 meter down, we have in the Himalaya what are called the alpine areas. These are all huge alpine. This is West Himalaya. I have given the biogeographic zone, West Himalaya, where different kinds of forest types like alpine, subalpine, temperate, subtropical. These are all the different kinds of vegetation we find. Each vegetation type constitutes with a set of flora very unique to that region. Therefore, that's one of the reasons why there is so high concentration. Now look at here. These are all the plants. Very few I have listed. Don't think that these are all the plants. There are at least thousands of plants that grow there. All are unique plants. Most of the species are ephemeral plants. What is an ephemeral plant? Ephemeral plants are those which complete their life cycle within a short span of, say, 1 week or 2 weeks, produce flower, fruit, disperse, and die off. So they complete their life cycle. That's why they are ephemeral. The other character of an alpine flora is their plants are small, and compared to the size of the plant, the flowers are so conspicuous, very attractive. That is the other one. The third character is they are gregarious in flowering. What is gregarious flowering? Once any species flowers, whole area flower. This is valley of flowers. I think I will show. This is the valley of flowers. Whole area flowers. Whole area, miles together. Miles together it will be flowering. Say, for example, and then rhythmic in nature. Rhythmic means it on a particular day, on a particular time it flowers and dies up. So that is the one nature. So on a particular day in August you go, if potentilla is in flower, whole area you will see as a red carpet. Whole area, you have no place to even walk. Such beautiful area. Second day when you go, the potentilla dies off and say gentiana flowers, whole area will be blue carpet. Third day you go, Corydalis flowers, yellow carpet. Depending upon the species flowering, whole area changes. That's why we call this as a valley of flower or a botanical paradise. This is a botanical paradise. Look at this. These are all from internet. I have taken some of the photographs just for show how attractive it is. So beautiful. You can see here. And in your lifetime as a botanist, even if it is not as a botanist, as an Indian citizen, I wish that all of you should visit this wonderful area. You cannot explain in terms of photographs, but when you stand there in the Valley of Flowers, you will see. Yes, anything? Yeah, these are all the different areas. It shows different colors. And this valley also finds a place in the epic works like the in the Ramayana, Mahabharata and all that, it is said this was called the Nandan Kanan or the Garden of Indra. Valley of Flower was also named as Garden of Indra, and where the fairies during full moon days, they come and dance. So that is the one. Fairies means all beautiful girls will come and dance and all that. But that is only a story. Let us not. Only to show, only to emphasize how beautiful the paradise, the botanical paradise is. And in the Ramayana, this valley was also known as Kakabusandi Valley, where plants like Sanjeevani existed here. And Lord Hanuman was sent to this place. Not only this place, of course, he goes to 2-3 different places. Yamunotri, Hanuman Tibba, Hanuman Chetty, Hanuman Peak near Nanda Devi, different places he goes, and to collect plants, what is called Sanjeevani. You all know why he comes to collect Sanjeevani, because Lakshman was unconscious in the war between Lord Ram and Ravan. So he comes here, and he was not able to, I'm just telling the story, please understand. He was not able to identify the Sanjeevani plant. So what he does, Lord Hanuman takes the chunk of mountain and goes back to Sri Lanka. When he goes back, Lord Ram, having that conservation consciousness, he says, you have killed all these plants. These plants will die here. So this is not correct. You take that Sanjeevani booty back and put all this mountain back there. And Lord Hanuman again takes that mountain and then goes back. And on the way, he thinks, Lord Ram is not right, because war is going on. And going and putting this mountain is not important. I must go back to Sri Lanka. He throws that mountain in between and then goes back to Sri Lanka. And that mountain which is supposed to have fallen is the Gandhamardhan Parvat in Orissa, where there are similar flora and fauna. How phytogeographic significance. This is just to connect. This is only a story to connect. What could be the reason why there is so much of similar flora between Himalaya and the Gandhamardhan Parvat and all that? That is the one. But all this may be story. But I will come to the scientific part is, during the epic days of Ramayana, people knew that Himalaya has plants like Sanjeevani. What is that Sanjeevani? Sanjeevani is a plant which it has got a miraculous property of bringing back to life almost a dead person. A person is in coma, that kind of disease. And you bring this plant and then give the plant, the fellow will get up and start playing football. That is the uniqueness of this Sanjeevani plant. So whether this plant exists today or not, that let us discuss later. But during the Ramayana days, people knew that Himalaya is a place where Sanjeevani like plants are growing. Sanjeevani is nothing but a plant having miraculous property of bringing back to life almost a dead person. So that was the one, that kind of plants identified. Now, having known this, now, this is, of course, also the Dolkanda Sanjeevani mountain in Sri Lanka. When Hanuman brought this, a portion was left there, I told. This is supposed to be, but how far it is true, how far it is false, it is immaterial, it is all story. But what I want to tell is that some of these places where there is high concentration of life-saving medicinal plants, the DRDO people have done a lot of work to identify the modern Sanjeevani plant, and based on the ethnic knowledge, Solo, it is called the Solo, is a Ladakhi name. Based on this, they have been able to identify a plant called Rhodiola wallaceiana, which has the only species which has got the nullifying effect of gamma radiation. A wonderful medicinal plant, has a immunomodulatory, adaptogenic, and radioprotecting abilities due to the presence of secondary metabolites. This is a wonderful plant. This is entirely based on the ethnic knowledge of the Ladakhi people, and the local name is Solo. Honorable Prime Minister also made a reference about this plant some time back. You must have heard this. And he is of the opinion that such plants should be brought to the use of the overall human welfare. What he means is that we should try to make use of such plants and go for a global level product, so that you become rich, country becomes rich, and also human welfare is established. So these are the one. And what is that plant is Rhodiola wallaceiana, of the cold desert plant, maybe the modern Sanjeevani plant. And we also surveyed, when I was in the botanical survey, we surveyed also, we tried to, with the help of local people, imported medicinal plants, we made a big list. There are so many big list of plants. How many of them have been utilized for developing into a product? I don't think any of these plants have been. Only small scale, it is on the local scale. People are using small products at the local scale, like Patanjali or in Kerala Ayurveda, the Kottakkal Ayurveda, this kind of small level, but global level, we have not been able to bring any product. So this is one we should all remember, that in spite of the rich bioresources associated with the rich traditional knowledge, ready-made information is there, ready-made plants are there, associated knowledge is there. Only thing is we have not been able to bring this. I think in the course of time, we should, I think, only concentrate on this aspect. When you come down, say 500-meter, again, if in the temperate forest itself, we have huge, what are called the coniferous forests, the temperate conifer forests, and also broad-leaved forests like poplars, betula. These are all broad-leaved forests. And undergrowth, we find plants like this aconitum. Aconitum species are again highly important medicinal plant. Highly important medicinal plant. And today you survey 5-6 kilometers, you go, you may not get one or two plants only. It has become so rare because of the medicinal virtues attached to this. It has tubers underground, just small tubers, and that tuber costs almost 4,000 rupees a kg. So therefore, the pharmaceutical industries, with the help of local people, have been collecting, and all that. Today, the species has become critically endangered. Now, my point is, when the biotechnology is advanced so much, why can't we multiply this particular plant in cartload or truckload, and you develop your own entrepreneurship, make money, you become rich, country becomes rich. So select such plants so that you become rich and country becomes rich. So that is utilizing, converting our biological wealth into economic wealth. This is the one exactly I want. Each one of these are very important. I will very quickly, I will go select one or two. And in the Vedic literature, we have what is called the divine drink Soma. What is that Soma? Soma can be equated to the Scotch whiskey of the present day. Scotch whiskey, we all know that it comes from Scotland, a very small country, and the beverage industry is being ruled by Scotch whiskey today. They are making so much of money. Our information is 5,000 years old. Divine drink Soma, the information is almost 5,000 years old. What is Soma? Highly intoxicating, highly invigorating, highly antifatic tonic drink, highly intoxicating drink. It is much more effective than Soma. Such a wonderful drink, tonic drink. And it is also said the active principle in Soma. Active principle means that psychoactive principle. Psychoactive principle passes through the alimentary system of human beings almost unmetabolized. Whatever the property you find in Soma, the same property you will find in the urine when the man urinates. This is the important fact. Now, the local people, the poor people of those days, it is said, I think you should read the book by Schultz, Plants of the Gods. In that it mentions that the poor people who are not able to afford Soma, they were even going behind those persons who have taken Soma, and whenever they used to urinate, they collect their urine and drink. Now, it may appear to be very nasty for us now. We may not think of, but remember, people were prepared to drink urine for the craze of Soma. That was the craze of Soma. You can imagine how important Somras or Soma was. But today, we have forgotten our own technology, we have forgotten our own plant, but we have all fallen back to Scotch whiskey. So therefore, suppose we resurrect this species, resurrect the technology, India can become one of the richest countries. One plant can change the economy of the country. One plant can change the economy of the country. That is what we need to do. We should select such plants. Unfortunately, we do not know exactly what is the Soma plant. there are as many as 27 species, which are all said to be the surrogates of soma, starting from a gymnosperm, a fungus, a flowering plant, all are said to be the surrogates of soma. So this is high-level research. Interdisciplinary research is required. Put your inputs for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. But at the end of the day, you develop your own technology for soma. Knock off the monopoly of Scotland or Scotch whiskey, India can become rich. This is the kind of research that we are supposed to take in the coming decades. Now, in the Alpine region, again in the Western Himalaya, I think each one is, this is Sanjeevani, like highly miraculous properties in a medicinal plant. One is Nadostachys, Picrorizis, Kurua, very important medicinal plants. But I will skip some of these things, but I will come to the, say for example here, this is a plant, very old archaic plant. This is supposed to have been planted by Adi Shankaracharya near Joshimath, in Joshimath on way to Badrinath. How many of you have gone? I do not know. On way to Badrinath, Joshimath, in a temple, this plant is planted. This is Morus serrata. Morus is a very small plant elsewhere. But this plant is so archaic that it really indicates very old age. This is supposed to have been planted by Adi Shankaracharya. If it is so, Adi Shankaracharya lived in the 7th century. So therefore, this should become the oldest tree we have in our country. Now, you see, apart from all this, the uniqueness of the species, let us think what makes this species to live for such long period. So what is the nature? Are there any special genes? Can we harvest those genes, take those genes and transfer it to some of the common plant so that you can postpone the senescence? Old age you can postpone. You can, if I have to tell this in a lighter way, take the gene and put it in human being, the human being can live for 500 years. Now, this is the kind of, it may appear to be a friction at this stage, but a day may come, yes, this may be possible also. Now the technology is available. Only thing is we should select such plants and utilize our bioresources so that India can become strong. Large number of rhododendrons are there. This is rhododendron. This is Western Himalaya rhododendron. This is rhododendron, right? There are, I think I will show some more rhododendron. These are all rhododendrons. I will come to that rhododendron. And you see, these are all rhododendron. This is rhododendron. All are different. I have written the names. Those of you are interested, you can take also. Rhododendron. See, beautiful Hoxoni, Campanulatum, Glaucophyllum. All are rhododendron. So many species of, almost 98 species of rhododendrons are there in India. And each one is having an attractive color flower. Now, except for black color, all kinds of colors of rhododendrons you will find, particularly in the Himalayas, Sikkim and easternwards if you go. Beautiful rhododendron. When you go on top on the mountain and see at the valleys, in some patches there will be white, some patches there will be yellow, some patches it is red. Very beautiful. They are all arborescent. Arborescent means they are all trees and shrubs. Important. That is another thing. Very attractive. Good color. All deep yellow, red yellow, deep red yellow. All these kinds of mixed colors you will find. Now, have we been able to bring one plant under man-made setting? I don't think we have not been able to. We have not brought even one plant under man-made setting. That is where we should feel sorry. We have bioresources. Why should we not go for agrotechnology? See the nursery technology you should develop. Multiply these plants so that you should go into many of our gardens. You make money, you become rich, country becomes rich. Exactly, that is what is required. But we have not been able to do this. That is another problem, right? I am just showing some of these things so that you should see some of these plants. There are how many rhododendrons are there? Almost 120 taxa, 80 species, 98, 27 subspecies. This is the latest report by the director BSI. Now it is number is immaterial, don't worry. But there are so many species, but we have not been able to bring. You go to the Royal Botanic Garden, Edinburgh, or any of the European gardens, if you go, all these species are multiplied there in the nursery, and they sell these plants at the rate of 10 to 13 pounds. 10 pound means 1,000 rupees roughly. 10 pound means 1,000 rupees. Our plants are being sold 1,000 rupees there and they are making money. What is it we are doing? We are doing is nothing except making a beautiful photograph, putting it on the seminar rooms or conference rooms and say this is a beautiful plant that we have in India, no other country has. We are all boasting ourselves that rich flora, and nothing we have done. So therefore, this is high time that we should all join together. So far, describing a plant is old story. We don't need description of the plant, writing a floral diagram, how many stamens, what is inferior ovary, superior ovary, all these kind of teaching we should change. Now, how utilize this plant? Can we make money? That kind of thinking you should develop. India can definitely become one of the richest country in the world in the coming days because we have large number of the diversity. In the Eastern Himalaya, when you come, very quickly I'm going, but you should concentrate all this. We have large number of bamboo forests. I told in the beginning, Eastern Himalaya, the Northeast India is one region which is said to be the hottest hotspot. What is the hottest one? 90% of the original forests are destroyed. When the forests are destroyed, and abandon the area as a fallow, after 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, the succession takes place. And in the succession stage, bamboo forests come up after 50, 60, 70 years. And therefore, bamboo forests in the northeastern region is only a cereal community, not a climax forest. Now you should know what is a climax forest. What is a cereal community? Cereal community is nothing but a successional stage in succession of an area. That is the one. When you abandon the area, this comes. Now we have large number of these forests. There are almost 103 species of bamboos. Bamboos are utilized for a number of purposes. And this is the only species that comes to the service of man from cradle to cremation. When baby is born, bamboo is required. When man dies, bamboo is required. Cradle to cremation plant. What is it we have done? We are using it only for so-called the bamboo, the paper industry, right? In the Eastern Himalaya, we have zonation of vegetation or the pattern of distribution like this: alpine, subalpine, temperate, all depending upon the altitude. Different, and each zone has a set of its own flora. You can see here I have given alpine. These are all the species. That's where the northeastern region and the Eastern Himalaya are the richest diversity centers in the country. Very enormous diversity you will find here. Although density is less, diversity is quite enormous. Here, the highest rainfall zone is situated in the northeastern region. The Chirapunji, Masinram, these are the areas highest rainfall. Diverse habitats we will find here, and gateway for migration of flora from all these eastern, Tibet, China, Malaysia, these are the countries. High rate of endemism you will find. Sanctuary of ancient and primitive angiosperm. That's why I said it is a region of the cradle of flowering plants. And maximum ethnic diversity. Ethnic diversity means traditional knowledge. 90% of the people are tribal. There are a large number of the Nagas, Mizos, all these have their own set of medicinal plant knowledge, not only medicinal plant, knowledge about the plants, local flora. Now, that knowledge is time tested. It is not an ordinary knowledge. Although there is no scientific evaluation, it is a knowledge that has percolated over several generations, from one generation to other generation. So it has stood the test of time. So therefore, the knowledge is 100% correct. It is a very authentic information. Said this plant is used for diabetes. That information is very important because that is time tested. It is percolated over several generations. So therefore, that knowledge is there and associated plant is there. Plants are there, knowledge is there. And when both are ready-made, why should we not go for product development? That is a question I am asking all of the younger generation today, that we should try to do this, some of these things, right? These are all important medicinal plants again. Now in the Eastern Himalaya, this is of course very good for the kidney stones. Now this plant is, I just want to say, biological curiosity. It is a Sapria Himalayana, roughly CSC plant. Sapria Himalayana, very beautiful. And it measures almost 30 to 40 centimeter across. Largest flower, it is flower. It is a rootless, leafless, stemless parasite. No root, no leaf, no stem. Only when it flowers, yes, you find this. It's extremely rare plant, I agree. But no one can go nearer to this plant because it is extremely foul smelling, very bad smelling, as if dead animal is there, very foul smelling. Identify the genes for foul smelling nature. Take the genes, transfer those genes, some of the common plants that can be grown along Indo-Pakistan border, so that we can use our bioresources for biological warfare. That possibility is also there. So we should try to use all these things. That is the thing. I think technology is there, but we should try to do that. Orchids, large number of orchids are there in our country. Now I will come to some of the orchids. Yeah, beautiful orchids are there. Now, there are both are terrestrial, some are epiphytic orchids are there. 1,200 species are there in our country. Northeastern region itself, more than 750 species of orchids are there. And each one can be directly introduced into our garden. They can be introduced directly. Now, but technology, agrotechnology, nursery technology, what needs, how to grow, what time it should grow, the phenological studies, all this you should do. All these nurserymen, horticulturists, ecologists, taxonomies, all should join together and make them so popular that it should be available in all gardens. You go to Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia, Bangkok, any of these places you go, on any road you go, there are so many floriculturists selling the orchids and making money. Why not in India? Why we should not do this kind of things? Only hardly 1 or 2 places we are doing. But my point is, when we have so much of rich diversity of orchids, why should we not multiply these things and develop our own floriculture entrepreneurship and then sell? You export it, make money, sell money, whatever it is, you become rich, country becomes rich. I think that's exactly. But unfortunately, orchid wealth is diminishing to such an extent. For example, this last one, which I am showing here, this is Vanda cerulean, and this orchid was collected by Hooker. I hope Hooker, as teachers, you all know who is Hooker. I think you must be knowing. Hooker is the one who wrote the Flora of British India. 7 volumes of Flora of British India he wrote. And when he came to botanize the Tirappunji area some 100 years ago, he was able to collect this plant almost equal to 7 men's headload. He engaged 7 people to carry this particular bundle of the orchids for planting in the European nurseries, where they are all flowering there. And today, in the Tirappunji area, where Hooker collected this plant, 7 men's headload, 1 month you survey, you will not be able to get even 7 plants. So in 100 years' time, to this extent, the orchid flora has completely come down. So what is left today, we should immediately conserve these orchids without any hesitation. You conserve these things, multiply them, artificial, of course, you can tissue culture, whatever the methods you want, use your biotechnology, multiply and go for making money. And most of the areas in the northeastern region like this, can you see? It is a barren land. And this is the highest rainfall area. Highest rainfall area, there is no vegetation. There is no vegetation because there is no topsoil. There is no topsoil to hold the vegetation. So it has become the entire vegetation, the rainfall that falls there, it goes to the plains of Bangladesh and causes floods everywhere. So, but in some places in the northeastern region, you can see here, this I am showing in the arrow, very dense forests we find, very dense forests, and surrounding all baldy hills you will find. Now, these are all the forests which are all said to be the sacred forests. I made a reference in the beginning, why sacred forests are important to be included as hotspots. These are all sacred forests. What is a sacred forest? Sacred forests are those forests which are all protected because of certain religious beliefs attached. There is a tiger comes and kills, there is a snake comes and kills, or your forefather's soul is there. You are, if you cut the tree, they will come and curse you. Any belief you attach. And because of that belief, for thousands of years, these plants have survived. Thousands of years, these forests have survived because people are afraid to go and cut anything, and that is the beliefs have made these plants. And formerly, this kind of forest existed throughout northeastern region. Now they are all confined only to certain pockets. So therefore, I call this kind of sacred forests as living fossil community. They are all living fossil community, I will call. Now, what is the uniqueness of this living fossil community? Are the relict vegetation? They are all the relict vegetation. What is the uniqueness? You 1 kilometer in the forest, you botanize in 1 kilometer, you will get more than 1,500 species. 1,500 species, which is much more than the entire state of Rajasthan. What you get in the whole state of Rajasthan, you get in 1 kilometer. That is the diversity of the flora that we have in the northeastern region. And 90% we have killed. Should we not feel sorry? Now, what is left out? Let us conserve it, 100% conserve. That's why today, these existed for several generations, they have existed. But today, sacred forests are severely threatened. Why threatened? Because beliefs attached to these forests is being eroded. There is no belief now because the tribal boys and girls are also studying in big cities like Delhi, Calcutta, Madras, Bombay, all those places they are also studying. So they do not have any faith in the forefathers. They used to tell, oh, there is a tiger comes, or your forefather's soul is there. These beliefs, they are not believing. So therefore, it is a matter of time. The existence of these sacred groves is a matter of time. I hope you understand this. It has survived for thousands of years. But in this very generation, we may lose this because in the name of what is called the upliftment of the society, the tribal boys and girls have lost the belief of their own traditional knowledge. So therefore, this species is a matter of time. So therefore, what I call this, yes, I'm sorry. And there are no biological corridors for flora and fauna to escape for any disease or climate change, anything. There is no biological corridor. So therefore, they die in situ, flora and fauna. Anything happens, they die in situ. So therefore, I call these sacred forests in India as death trap. It is a death trap. So therefore, there I always say that sacred forests, although they are not coming under the criteria suggested by Norman Meyer for the hotspots, I would like to include these also under hotspot so that immediate protection should be given to these sacred forests. I hope you are all clear with this. Yes. Now, in these sacred forests, there are many botanically curious plants which you don't find other parts of Meghalaya. For example, Taxus, Botricium, Helicia, Neetum, Rolfia. Some of these important plants, very interesting plant we find in the sacred forest, which we otherwise don't find. Corylopsis himalayana, very beautiful plant. Corylopsis himalayana, I think I may be having a slide I will show. Manglesia, Epiposium, these are all the ones we can see. And there are a large number of threatened plants, Eliocarpus, and then Baliospermum, Clematis, Euonymus, Hedera. These are all the ones extremely rare plants we don't find other places, but confined to sacred forests because they are all relict flora, relict vegetation. There are a large number of biologically curious plants in this region. Like, I think this you must be very familiar. This is Drosera. This is Drosera. This is Nepenthes. This is, of course, Rafflesia, I have already told. This is Belanophora. This is Belanophora. And this is Sasuria, the Brahmakamal, Sasuria. Now, this plant is very interesting plant. The terminal portion of the leaf gets modified into a pitcher with a lid. It contains a kind of digestive juice. And this juice absorbs the animal protein directly. The insects fall and the animal protein it can absorb. So now this juice is being used, I think made use of for developing peptic ulcer. I think a lot of research is going on in Japan. The Japanese scientists are working, but we are not doing any work. Unfortunate. This is very unfortunate. It is a wonderful medicine for peptic ulcer, and we are not doing. What we are doing? Oh, it is a very wonderful plant, very rare plant, endemic plant to Meghalaya. So we make nice photograph. Everywhere we put a nice photograph. Well, this is Nepenthes cassiana, Nepenthes cassiana. We have been boasting. No other country has this plant. Only we have that kind of things. But I think that attitude we have to change. I think there is high time that we should go for product development. This plant was abundant at one time. See, all along, this area, now you can see here, long you can see the Nepenthes was growing. Today it has become, this is me, actually 50 years ago. I show this slide particularly because 50 years ago, when I botanized this area in Shillong, the plant was so abundant. Today there are all potato fields everywhere. The Nepenthes is also becoming critically endangered. Today it is prohibited, collection is prohibited in Meghalaya by law. So you cannot go and collect, and there is Nepenthes sanctuary they have declared now. Yes, I think I will skip this. There are too many things. Now in the Manipur region, there are also some important, this is what is called Lilium macleanae or Sirohi lily. Sirohi Hills is in Manipur. Sirohi lily. When I joined for service some 50 years ago in the Botanical Survey of India, everybody used to talk. There is a plant, Lilium macleanae, extremely threatened plants, extremely rare plant, extremely beautiful plant. Even today, people talk the same thing. There is no change. 50 years ago, what people used to talk, today also we are talking the Lilium macleanae, very rare plant. When you know rare plant, why should you not multiply and then bring it under cultivation? We have not been able to do anything. No, this is where I feel very bad. Now, this plant is again sold in the European markets, in the nurseries at 10 pounds, 1,000 rupee, one plant. They are multiplying and selling this in the Sirohi lily and making money. Our plant, they are making money. What are we doing here? We are making a beautiful photograph, putting it on the rooms everywhere. You go to Manipur Forest Department, nice photographs are there. Nehu, nice photographs are there. Botanical Survey, nice photographs are there. Not beyond that. We don't need photograph. Those days have gone now. How utilize? Can we not make money? I think billions of dollars we can earn from this plant alone. But we are not doing. I think this is high time that at least those of you are from that region, I do not know how many teachers are from that region, but try to take up such plants, multiply that, and develop your own entrepreneurship, and you make money, you become rich, country automatically becomes rich. That is converting our biological wealth into economic wealth. I hope I am making it very clear. Large number of cultivated crops are also wild relatives of crop. All cultivated plants have wild relatives in our country. That's another thing which I will skip this. I will not now go into this. All are wild relatives of crop plants we have in our country. This is citrus, musa we have. And primitive taxa, I told, these are all the primitive taxa. Those of you, I think if you are teaching to your students, these are all very much primitive species, Magnolia, Gustavi, Manglesia, Michaelia, Hedera, Paramichaelia, Elysium, Karsura. These are all primitive flowering plants that we have. That's why I said this area is considered to be a cradle of flowering plant. This is Corylopsis himalayana. From Shillong to Cherrapunji, when you go along the roadside, you will see this beautiful plant, Corylopsis himalayana. This is tetracentron. Tetracentron is most of primitive flowering plant. And Trocodendron, tetracentron, these are all some of the primitive flowering plants that we have in our country. Yes? This is Campbell's magnolia. This is one of the oldest angiosperm plant in our country, Magnolia campbelli, in the Eastern Himalaya particularly. Coming to Western Ghat now, this is the Western Ghat portion. I have come down now. In the Western Ghat, we have sholas. Of course, dry deciduous, wet deciduous, moist deciduous. These are all the ones you have studied. But there are unique forests, shola forests. What are shola forests? Shola forests are, see, like this here. You can see. Yes, shola. These are all shola forests which come up in the valleys in between. See, the uniqueness of shola forests are that they invariably come in the valleys, number one, and there is perennial source of water. There is always perennial source of water. The epiphytic growth is very rich. Bryophyte, lichen, bryophyte, masses, all these are very rich. They grow there, fall down, and start sprouting. So very rich. And invariably, the tree trunks are crooked because of the heavy wind action. Wind action is so great, the tree trunks are all crooked. So that is the uniqueness of the sacred, the shola forest that we have in our country. And in the northern part of Western Ghat, particularly you can imagine Maharashtra, some people must be there, some teachers must be there from Maharashtra. I do not know, I don't see your faces, but my point is, In the Maharashtra region, in the northern part of when you go, the mountains are not flat topped, not pointed mountains, but they are flat mountain. You can aeroplanes can go very flat tapped mountains. And during certain part of the year, particularly in September, that region gets covered with full of flowers. And that's why I put it in inverted commas. Valley of flowers we find in the Himalaya, we find in the Western Ghat. This valley of, it is not a valley, it is a mountain top, but the type of flowers we find here also. Very beautiful flowers. And miles together, again, not one or 2 kilometers, several kilometers, you can see this, it goes like this. And this is, of course, different colors. The Smithia, Eriocolan, and Utricularia. These are all the mixture also. You can find this. Utricularia, you can see here, the amount of Utricularia you can see here. Huge Utricularia you can see. And you can see this is impatiens lie. Very beautiful. Oceans of flowers you can see on the top. Why should we not bring all these plants under man-made setting? Why should we grow always European plants? We can develop agrotechnology, nursery technique, all that you develop, and it should be available in all villages, cities, in all gardens. We should grow such beautiful plants. So you can conserve our flora on one side, make money on the other side, and India can become rich on the other side. These are all the ones. There are, of course, large number of what are called the keystone species in our country, and there is important medicinal plants are also there. I think, let me see the, yeah. There are large number of medicinal plants. All are medicinal plant here. Very wonderful medicinal plant. One only I will take the example because I cannot cover. This is Trichopas zeylanicus. What is the uniqueness about this? It grows in the Agastyamalai hills, in the Kerala and Tamil Nadu border, Agastyamalai hills. The local people, the tribal people, that's why tribal knowledge is so important. Tribal people take some 2-3 fruits of this, and when they eat this, it gives them so much of strength and energy. Imagine so much of strength and energy that without eating food for the whole day, you can carry 50 kg weight on your back and climb the Agastyamalai mountains. I call this a miraculous plant. Why miraculous? Without eating food, no food. On Ekadasi, one day you cannot make upwas. You will be all straying away. When next day will come, when I eat at least 10 chapatis, today's also we can combine. I think that kind of calculation we will be doing. But here is a plant, 2-3 seed fruits if you eat, it gives so much of strength and energy. You can carry 50 kg weight on your back and climb Himalayan, Agastyamalaya mountains. And it is a miraculous plant. What have we done with this miraculous plant? We have not done anything except bottle specimen and putting it in small Kerala. Also now, this is this plant and some small medicines they do. But my point is, suppose you go for a global level product. Global level means it should be available in China, Japan, America, Australia, Germany, everywhere it should be available. Just like the same Coca-Cola, Horlicks, the Colgate toothpaste, everywhere it is available. Why not one Indian product like this? Once it comes, Indian economy will change. Make a baby food out of this. I think science and technology is needed for this. Without that, you cannot simply take that and put it in one, and you cannot develop a product overnight. It may take 5 years, 10 years, immaterial. Develop a big group, take 10 years, 20 years. At the end of the day, one product comes, the greatest service you can do to the country, and country can become very rich. I think that you should always keep it in your mind. So this kind of things, we should try to select these plants. Large number of aromatic plants are there. Aromatic plants are those which contain essential oils. Essential oils are extremely costly. Some essential oils, even 1 liter costs 4 lakh rupees. So costly essential oil. In Western Ghat, we have 350 wild species of aromatic plants. Either these things, depending upon the requirement of the essential oil industry, either you can use them as such or mix them. Mix them means this has got one type of smell, this has got one type of smell, this you mix this with, doesn't mean that you take and mix. You hybridize this. Either go for molecular hybridization or traditional hybridization. Develop a variety that suits the need of the essential oil industry so that you can earn millions of dollars. You can make money. Extract the essential oil. Now, this is an area which is a big challenge now, open for investigation in the coming decades, we should take up this. These are all the monotypic. The teachers should teach this because these are all monotypic. What is monotypic? The genera having only one species. There is no closely related genomes anywhere else in the world. So therefore, these are all monotypic taxa. There are a large number of Pleistocene relics in our country. What is a Pleistocene relic? Pleistocene relics are nothing but the Himalayan elements. Himalayan elements distributed on the South Indian hills, South Indian hilltops, particularly the Nilgiris, the Anemudi, Nilgiris, and even in Sri Lanka you go, Adams Peak you go, we have similar flora that we find in the Himalaya. Now you think this phytogeographically, how Himalayan plant has come to the Nilgiris? That is the question now. I think Nilgiris you must have visited.